This is light work. Come on, spill the tea. Yeah. Ooh.
Hey y'all,
What's good?
I'm Laura
And I'm Dee, and welcome to Spill the Tea with Laura and Dee.
What's our topic today?
I'm glad you asked. Our Candid Convo for today is a comprehensive guide to selling your home in Atlanta.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yes.
It's a good time to sell too. The market's kind of shifting. We've seen a few
The news
down,
has caught up.
A little bit. We've seen a few down weeks, and we're about 4 weeks out from where the market shifted. And we're starting to see the market start to pick up and catch up a little bit.
That's good.
I know. I'm excited.
That's good. I've got a couple listings in my neighborhood I'm watching just to see what my house
I know.
is kind of valued at.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. All right, so give me the exact term. I know we're talking about listings, but what was our question?
Yeah, so basically, a comprehensive guide to selling your home in Atlanta. And we can break that down into three things. So, one, preparing the house or getting the house ready.
Okay.
Two, obtain and review the data. So,
Okay.
all of the relevant data in the nearby areas, and then create a strategic selling plan.
Yes, so those are our three suggestions for sure. I always like to tell clients, unfortunately, a lot of people will call me and they're like, hey, guess what? And I'm like, what? And they're like, we're listing the house. I'm like, great, let's do a walkthrough. We can't wait for you to see it. We've done all this work. We've been getting ready for a year.
Oh, no.
So problem number one, don't get ready for a year without talking to a realtor.
Yes, so I've been taking your advice because, as we know, I am your client too.
Yes.
And we're preparing. We're getting our house ready. And as you know, you've heard me have several conversations with you about, should I do this?
Correct.
Should I do that? Should I even care about this? And now that we have a couple of houses in the market nearby,
Correct.
I can use those as examples. But it's just like, if I didn't do that, I would just be so scared to have that call with you and be like, all right, we did a couple of things. Can you come look?
No, I can't.
It's like, have that conversation first.
So if you're going to do things without your realtor, things that you need to think about are what would matter to you? Like what would, if somebody did this, would you still rip it out?
Right.
Right. And unfortunately, a lot of times sellers will do this. They will do a project and they only do a third of it or half of it. And the end result is somebody's going to look at that and go, great, I'm glad you redid the counters or the cabinet top, the counters, but I've got to redo the cabinet still. And as soon as they pull that cabinet top off, that counter off, it's going to break. Right. Very few people can save countertops. Any cabinet guy will tell you, if we are doing your counters, be ready. I mean, your cabinets, be ready to replace your countertops, right? So first impressions matter, right? So if you're going to do things on your own without a realtor and you're trying to get your house ready, you want to do something that's going to actually bring you value, pressure wash. Okay. First impressions matter. That's the first thing that they're going to see when they walk up is either your acid rain driveway or your nice, clean pressure wash driveway, right? Same thing with your windows, same thing with your cobwebs around the house. And it doesn't cost you a lot to pressure wash, right? So you can hire a company. They're usually fairly inexpensive, but the return you get on that $500 investment is phenomenal, right? Because buyers come out, it's clean, there's no cobwebs. So pressure wash. That is hands down, if you're not going to talk to a realtor, number one. Number two is paint.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of times paint, you will see a huge return on your money because people walk in and it's clean and it's crisp. And even if everything else needs renovating, they can still walk in. If the walls are painted, they can hang their pictures. They can put their family. They
don't have to worry about painting, too, which is always a pain in the butt when you move in somewhere. It's like, oh,
everybody wants to paint immediately. Even if you plan to rip everything out and redo it. Before I moved into my house, my kids were not allowed to put anything in the closets before they were painted. I was like, ain't no fucking way I'm living on somebody's dirt. It ain't happening today, tomorrow, or no other day, right?
Right.
I wanted to paint the closets. And so we came in and we painted the closets, hung everything up. And then the next thing we did before we decorated any room, we painted it. Even if we didn't update the room, we still painted it. It did not get decorated until it was painted. So paint is huge, in my opinion. Windows. Yes. So wash your windows. They probably haven't been washed since you lived there. They're probably
enough.
full of this much grime, and a quick clean on a window will allow a ton of natural light into your property.
Right.
Okay, so clean windows are super important. If you're trying to do some more staging and kind of getting ready before you talk to your realtor, I always tell people to clean out their closets as well.
Mm.
So make 3 piles. Trash, I'm not sure, can't get rid of.
Mm.
Okay. Get rid of the trash and then do it one more time.
Mm.
Okay. That'll help you narrow down that pile of, oh, do I need to keep my great grandma's, old shawl from the 1920s? Like, no, you don't. You can get rid of it. Somebody give it to Goodwill. Let somebody use it who's going to use it, right?
Right.
So those are probably my suggestions if you're going to do anything prior to hiring somebody, is to kind of go through those 4 things.
Right.
Right? Clean the house out, get your windows clean, go ahead and paint, and go ahead and pressure wash.
Right.
Those things will add value to your property, hands down, no matter what you're trying to sell. Anything past that, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and reach out to a realtor. I had a client one time who so excited, just so excited. She did all of these things to her house that she wanted to do while living there. And all of the things she did, and this is probably the biggest mistake people make, we update based on our likes.
As opposed to what the market likes.
Correct. So then the next thing is your data,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're trying to get your home sell ready, I always
hold on.
Yeah.
So with the getting the house ready,
Mhm.
for pressure washing, would you also recommend that for townhomes as well?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Because I've seen several people kind of get it done in townhomes.
Yep.
But I didn't know if that was something that.
And a lot of times townhomes are small. Like, if you're pressure washing, you may want to do the whole curb, not just
Right.
what's in front of your house, right? Like,
Right.
so in a townhome, know that you may, same thing when you're getting the exterior of a townhome ready, right? Putting out mulch is a great thing to do.
Mm.
Kind of freshens that front yard up. Even if you don't do anything in the back, that first impression, what do they see when they walk into your front door?
Right.
Right? All of that really, really matters. And so if I'm going to pressure wash at a townhome, I am going to look at the building. And like if I do my walkway, if it's just, a parking lot and then a little walkway up that's 3-4 feet,
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably, I'll pressure wash your driveway too.
Right.
I'm going to make the whole building look
Right.
good. But yeah, I think that anytime you are getting ready to sell a home, first impressions matter. It's what it's we talk about that at a really high level with my clients. And the first thing we always do is kind of get that entryway. I want that clear. I want it to look good. I don't want any trip hazards, because first impressions matter. I will tell you, most buyers know that they're going to buy a house before they make it past the threshold of the door.
Hmm.
I hear all the time, this is it. This is it. Right. And so to make your house be this is it, it needs to feel good. And so that first vision of the home, if it's clean, always going to net you top dollar.
Right. So tell me about reviewing the data. Is that something that you'll review with the clients, or?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So data is your best friend, in my opinion, in real estate, because it tells you what the market's doing, right? We talk a lot about how our market data is a lot of times 3 months behind.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using current market data, if you're actually pulling your data, if your agent's pulling their data directly from the FMLS, that should be, or the MLS, depending on where you are, that should be the most current data that you're going to be able to find.
Mm-hmm.
Right now in the Atlanta market, even our FMLS is probably about a week behind, because in the current market we're in, buyers are seeing homes on, Friday, Saturday, thinking about the 3 or 4 homes that they saw. They're not making their offer till Monday. So they've now seen a home and we're getting 3 or 4 more days added onto market while the buyer is thinking. And then at that point, buyer sends the listing agent, the offer on Monday. By Tuesday or Wednesday, they're finally under contract. So it's actually taking almost a week.
Right.
So right now the FMLS data is about a week behind based on what a buyer is thinking.
Right.
Because it's taking them that long to get their offer to the seller. So data is super important. We look at a bunch of different things. A lot of sellers think that the only thing that's important when selling their house are the comps.
Right.
And what they sold for. and how many bedrooms they had and what is price per square foot. And that's probably the least important part of the data.
I feel like one of the things that I always want to know is like the average days on market.
Correct.
Because it's like, all right, well, David's going to have to pay this mortgage again.
Correct.
Once
know how long it's going to take
twice.
you to sell. Correct. And so if we can start working with a client 6 months out that's getting ready to sell, that is ideal. Because now you have a nice little neat spreadsheet and we're going to track your data for the 6 months.
Right.
So if your market starts going up really fast and I know you're in a hurry to sell and I know we can hit your numbers faster than maybe waiting the 6 months or whatever, I'm going to be able to tell you that because the data is there. Right. I'm going to be able to sit down with you and, to your point, set that expectation. Okay, right now, David, in your market, we're seeing 5 buyers show homes a month, right? So we're not seeing a lot of buyers. That way you're not having heart palpitations, right? The scariest thing for a seller is to list your home and then get no offer. If you have the data, right, you understand that in your market, if listed correctly, sellers are getting 98% of their list price. They're selling in 32 days, and the average home is being shown 5 to 7 times a month.
Right.
When your home is performing better than that, all of a sudden you feel like a rock star because I've given you the data and we've positioned your home to perform better than everybody else. Right? That is our objective. And so having a very clear vision of what the market is doing as a whole. You do not want to just know what homes are selling for in your market. And that's going to get you a really good list price. In addition, it's going to help you stay positioned in the market correctly. Right? And I'll have a client call me. I had a client call me. They're just like, we got to drop the price of the house. I haven't been, it hasn't closed. Hasn't. I was like, no, you're going to sit down and you're going to be quiet. And I showed her the data and she's like, oh, I forgot about all that. Right. And so just keeping an eye on that helps you understand where your property is, where you should be, and where the market is, and whether you should be nervous or not. And then if you don't listen to the data, I fire you. So it gives me a very easy in and out to know if you're a realistic client, right? Because I want to work with people who are realistic. I want to be able to help you achieve your goal, not pretend that I can make something happen that's not reality.
Right.
Yes.
Now, tell me about this strategic selling plan.
Got it. So the strategic selling plan is it's a whole comprehensive plan that we use. So when you are listing your home, a lot of agents do a couple P's. They put it in the MLS, they put a sign in your front yard, and then they pray. They do the 3 P's. There's a few more P's that you should do in there, right? So prospecting is one of the big ones that we do on our team. So not only do we collect all of this data to make sure you are positioned correctly, we follow the data while you are listed, right? But then we go out and we prospect. So we are looking at how many buyers were added to your home search this week, right? How many new buyers entered the market and your home came up in their home search? We want to reach out to all of those agents. We want to talk to those agents. If their clients aren't seeing our house, we want to know why. Right. After someone has seen the house, we get data again, right? My whole plan revolves around data. But we get data again. So we are going to get feedback from the buyers that have physically seen your house. Because again, the market may say, hey, I've got a house right now. It's listed at $375 and it's a great price. I think it would praise all day long. But I told the sellers at the end of this weekend, based on the feedback that we were getting, we're getting the, oh my God, we love the house. It's our second favorite. It's our second favorite, right? But having a strategic listing plan, being able to go to my client, understanding the data, understanding what that feedback actually means. A lot of times when you are falling second in line for everyone's favorite, what that means is first impressions did wonders on them, right? They walked in and they looked at that picture online. They loved it. They absolutely think your house is perfect. When they walked in, it lost the luster. Right? It lost, but we're bringing in enough clients, enough potential buyers to know that we're close, right? And again, I do believe that their home would appraise at $735. No questions asked. They are an A+ home, totally renovated. They look fantastic online. I think the biggest problem is when you walk in, it feels a little smaller than it looks online. And so what that means, right? And we discussed this before we went listed. If this is our feedback, that normally means we're only like 1 to 3% off. And a home is considered to be sold at full list price if you get 98% or more of list price, right? And so if we're only 1 to 3% off, we are in the ballpark. it's a little too high for buyers to feel comfortable, right? And so having that strategic plan, understanding all the steps of listing and what happens is super important because it gets you to the closing table the fastest. And the faster you get to the closing table when you're listed and your property's been marketed correctly, that is going to always 100% of the time net you the most money.
Right.
And that's your goal.
Right.
Most money,
Right.
least amount of time for least headache.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's exactly right.
And a strategic plan and data are your keys.
Right.
Well,
I'm looking forward to.
I can't wait till we move y'all closer to me. The baby's gonna be by me. He's having a baby in 2 weeks.
Exactly right. You know what time it is?
I do.
It's time for question quickie.
What do our viewers want to know this week?
So one is, so we kind of talked about this a little bit. What is your strategy for pricing my home competitively to attract buyers while maximizing the sales price?
Always data. Data is your best friend. Data is your key. It's going to tell you where you need to be when you need to be there.
I think you should go, because I know a little bit about it, but I think you should go a little bit into detail on, for instance, you even, once someone comes to view the property, you'll follow up with that agent to get an idea of what they actually thought.
Correct.
Which is a data point for you.
And again, it goes back to, this weekend when we were collecting the data, it was, oh my God, my client loved your house. But typical real estate story, they fell in love with two. And if we don't get the first one under contract, we're coming back for you.
Right.
Right. And again, collecting that data is going to position you the best. Your client right now, we're listed. I told him where the market was going to offer him, and that's where it's offering him. And we have an offer, and it's a little worse than we thought because he's got some stuff that needs to be done in the home. And so when people are pricing those projects, it's a little bit more expensive than what I had priced it in my head. It's not more expensive, but I figured we might be able to find a buyer that would be interested. And, I think some of the things that we've got going on in the house are more than just cosmetic, right? So buyers are really standoffish on this. And so I told him, these things may come up. This may be what we see. Where are we going to sit in that funnel of buyers? And he's like, I don't like that price. Can we have 4 offers at the same price? So my question to him today is going to be, here's your data. Explain to me why you think if we've gotten 4 offers, someone would give you a different offer, right? I think sometimes part of this process is not just the data. It's how you educate your client as well. I can't go out and be like, motherfucker, lower your price. Nobody's going to do that. My head might be saying that, but nobody's going to do that. I have to be able to come to you and explain to you in a very educated manner. And then, there's the DISC when it comes to personalities. And so being able to understand that as well is important. Right. And so it's just the data, just transferring it over, all of it.
Absolutely.
From market to human.
Absolutely. All right. Next question. How do you market the homes online and offline to reach the largest pool of potential buyers?
I am so excited about this question right now because I was in a class the other day and it was such a good point that they made in this class. People think that if you exclusively market their home just to your brokerage, that's a good thing. Okay. So a lot of times you will hear a buyer's agent especially say, oh, I have a list of homes that aren't on the market yet, right? I have all, which sounds great to a buyer.
Pocket listings.
Correct, right? And so even my broker, we are creating this website of pocket listings, and somebody on one of my calls made a really good point. Like that is actually regression in the real estate world.
Right.
Because we as agents, before I was an agent, fought for an MLS. If KW, EXP, REMAX, Berkshire Hathaway, if they have private lists of pocket listings, that means for me as your buyer, I now have to go to each of those.
Right.
So if you want the most money for your home, first and foremost, get on the MLS.
Right.
Do not let an agent talk you into selling your home
on
off
pocket listing.
Correct.
Right.
Because when you sell it on a pocket listing, if someone's that excited about buying your house from a pocket listing, that should be a huge clue to you that the rest of the market's going to be that excited about your home. I
never understood the pocket listings. To me, it almost was primarily a cost decision.
So it's a headache decision is what it boils down to. Does the seller feel like keeping their home show ready? Does the seller feel like having to get out of their house every time they have, a showing? Does the seller want to have to deal with the dogs? Does the seller have little kids? I think about you and Lexi with the baby and all those fucking bottles y'all gonna have everywhere.
Yeah, actually, we were thinking about that and seeing the use case of moving out first, but even that's can be difficult.
Correct. And so it's important as an agent that you have a system for every single client, right? And so when you look at sellers, some sellers are going to just want a cash offer.
Right.
So when we go into a listing appointment, every single seller gets a cash offer from me. Most of them laugh at me, right? Because then the next thing that comes out of my mouth is I'm going to explain to them that this is a really shitty offer. Right. Don't take my offer. Let me make you more money.
Right.
Every once in a while, someone's like, no. I live in Timbuktu, in Hawaii, and I'm like a 9-hour flight away from here. I do not want that. Right. They just want the cash. But if we're trying to net you the most money, your first step is get on the MLS in your area. That is going to show the entire, because when the MLS picks up the listing, so does Zillow. That's how that works.
Right.
So does Realtor. So does
Redfin.
All of them. There's like 150 of them that pick up your house.
Right.
Most people only know about 4 or 5. There's about 150 home sites, right? And then number 2, video. Video is so important in today's market, right? What do people stop on? And we use our video for a lot, right? We use your homes as BeReal. We use your homes to market your home. We're going to get out there and we're going to make a ton of content on your home. Something that we just started doing it this week or this month was, for our more luxury listings, we are doing a broker open house where the brokers come. My photographer and videographer is there. We do a whole walkthrough video for the house, and then we video them professionally introing the house.
Right.
After the broker open house, we are then able to give them that data, and they're so excited to post your listing on their social media because they have professionally made content.
Right.
And that's, of course, everybody's biggest fear is, oh, let's shit on camera. Well, you look like that anyway. So just look like that on camera. You'll make money, right? Don't get the perspective. You don't change the way you look when the camera turn off. And so it's having that kind of strategic marketing plan that'll help you get the most money and get your home sold the quickest. And so I would say video and FMLS are my 2 biggest. If your agent's not doing that, run. Points of necessity in getting your home sold. Right.
And I feel like the broker open house kind of helps with, you were just mentioning kind of like the silos between the different brokerages.
Correct.
So it kind of helps with that.
Correct.
Because now at that point, they're all incentivized to.
Correct. Anybody can come to my broker open house. In a lot of broker open houses, this is something else that if you're looking to strategically get your home sold at a high level for a lot of money quickly, network with an agent who's not afraid to network across broker lines. Right. My broker gives me that freedom, I guess, and almost encourages it because they understand that knowing everybody in the market, or the more people I know in my market, the better off my clients are.
Right.
Whereas a brokerage like the one that I came from, broker open houses would have just been marketed to that office, that brick and mortar, not even the whole broker group in the state, just the brick and mortar that those people work underneath. So all of those things are important. You gotta get you sold and get it done. She wants the fan on. She's cold.
Last question. And I think we've talked about this a little bit.
Okay.
What are key improvements or staging suggestions that'll help with the home's appeal and value to prospective buyers?
So the fastest things you can do, we talked about pressure washing and paint.
Right.
Staging is your next. If you don't know how to stage, here are my top staging tips. 1, remove all your family pictures and religious pictures and sports pictures. You don't know how many houses I walk in that have a UGA room and the buyer walks in and is like, I'm Auburn. Remove your personal stuff, right? Like, totally take all of that stuff that makes you out.
Right.
Okay. If a Jewish person walks in a Christian house, that might not work for them.
Right.
Right. For whatever reason. And so take that out. People think, what about my family pictures? And like, you're about to have a really cute baby. The average showing is 8 minutes. Nobody need to be sitting looking at baby cook for 4.
Right.
right? And so
Right.
that's kind of the perspective there. So pressure wash, remove all of your personal items from the property. I would encourage almost everybody to paint, even if you painted last year, like you lived there for a year.
Right.
Your hands are dirty.
Right.
Go paint your walls, okay?
Right.
You touched them, your hands are dirty, go paint your walls. And then there's a few other small staging tips that I like to give all of my clients. So same color lights.
Mhm.
If you have yellow lights in one room, lights throughout the whole house. I prefer a nice bright white light because that's going to make the room feel spacious and airy. So that is huge. You do not want multiple colored lights throughout your house. That's a huge no-no, especially in the same room. A lot of times kitchen lights, like maybe I'll go buy the little light for the little that goes over it, and it's like light yellow or yellow candle lights, and then everything else is like bright white. Big no-no. 3 layers of light in each room is a good staging tip that we give all of our clients. So your overhead light, a lamp, and a window.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, so 3 layers of light in a room. That way when they walk into the room, it's not dark, even if the lights are off. And then remove rugs, trash cans, toilet scrubbers, anything on a bathroom floor should come off. Same thing with your closets. So your closet floor should be totally empty. When something stops your eye on the floor, it stops the space. So if you have a tiny closet with nothing on the floor, it looks bigger. If you have a huge closet with shit all over the floor, it looks tiny.
And this is really all like kind of catered to that first impression, right? The stuff off the floor, especially in the bathrooms. It's just something where
nobody wants to walk in and see your toilet scrubber.
Right. It's like, oh, that's been used. Like,
get it off the floor. Same thing, your countertops in your kitchens and your bathrooms. Get them off. Nobody needs to see your toothbrush.
Right.
If you're a
and
parent,
then same thing that takes away from the size, the space.
Correct.
Right. We've got stuff on the kitchen counter
that all of a
probably
sudden
needs to just come now. Well, there's no space in here. Whereas you just take it all away and they have to imagine it.
Correct. If there's nothing on the counters, there's a lot of space, even if the counter is only this big. Look at all that.
It's like, no, it's just clean.
Decluttering, right? A minimalistic feel. People want to imagine, they need to see your stuff in the house for sizing. They need to make sure their couch fits. Like my favorite is, my king size bed's not going to fit in this room. What, motherfucker, it's 30 by 30, it's going to fit. But when the bed's not in the room, they just can't, right? They cannot imagine themselves. So your furniture helps them figure out how they're going to arrange. The brightness of the walls make them feel like it's fresh, it's clean. No one wants to move into a used house.
Right.
I cannot reiterate that enough.
As much as it is used, they don't want to move.
Everybody wants new construction, even if the new construction is just renovated.
Right.
Right. So clean it up and then get your personal self out. Get your taste out of the home.
Right.
It should feel very staged. There's a reason that new construction stages homes the way they stage them. You know, the pictures are a lot of times not even animals. They'll be just prints of something very
like flowers or
or just a print of just painting, right? Just a abstract painting or something, right? It's just, and they'll use the colors more than anything in the prints to pull everything together.
Right. Sweet.
Is that our last question?
Yes.
I feel like that's our last green dot.
Yes, that brings us to the end of our episode today. Thanks for joining us today on Spill the Tea with Laura and Dee. And as always, if you thought this was helpful and or entertaining, hit the heart or send to a friend. Also, if you have any questions for a house flipper or real estate professional, drop us a note below and we'll answer them in one of our upcoming videos.
This is light work.